I turned on more light so you could see me. I love that shirt.
Thank you.
I really love that shirt.
I also got it in black and white. So it's the exact same print, but in black and white and gray. It's cool.
I love that. I love that.
So guess what?
What?
We had a few technical difficulties this
We
morning.
totally did. It feels like, and I had technical difficulties with Catherine too. We just have to roll with it. And and sometimes I get hard on myself. Like, it's my fault. Like, it's really, I mean, maybe we met early. We figured it out. Life happens.
So this is the first thing. So the big tagline that you have is, what's it like to have a podcast? And I want to say to our viewers, you need to be patient because it will take twice as long and be twice as expensive and take twice as much work that you think, but it's totally worth it. What do you think, Grande?
I would agree. I would say along with that is be patient and allow yourself to fail, right? Because it's not going to be completely perfect. And you'll learn along the way. Yeah.
Do you actually have a podcast? And if so, what's the name of it?
I do. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
I have one with you. Did you know that?
Oh my God. Well, you look so familiar. That's
you do too. You do too.
Your hair's a little different. Did you wash it?
I finally showered.
Oh, that's great.
I finally showered.
The podcast is called
Are You Waiting for Permission? Yes. We've been doing this. We are in season 2. We've been doing it for what? A little over a year.
Year and a half. And it's a guest-based podcast. So 99% of what listeners will hear is us interviewing these really freaking amazing people that come on our show to be our guests.
We have really beautiful guests. And Hannah Austin, hello. I'm so excited. Hannah Austin was a guest on our podcast. That was fantastic. Hannah has her own podcast. Please leave it in the comments so that people can find you, Hannah.
And does Hannah have a book out? Is that true? Or
Hannah does everything. She's kind of like the superhero of healthcare and burnout and prevention and all that. So
yes,
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Hannah, for being here.
So I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Grande, close your eyes.
Okay.
Hand on your heart.
Okay.
What's it like to have a podcast? First thought.
First thought, best thought. It is, well, the first word that always pops in my head is delightful, but I want to go a little bit deeper than that, which is, it's rewarding. I feel it's wonderful to learn from other people who are living their purpose and following their life path. And we've brought on some people who've really taken some huge risk, and it's inspiring because they landed on their feet. And there's so many people in this world who don't take the risk because of fear, whatever that fear might be, maybe fear of failure, judgment. And these people that we've had on our podcast have certainly moved through that messy middle and have seen the other side of it.
Or not. They might still be in the messy middle, which is absolutely perfect because that's where you and I are. I'm
so past the messy middle. I have everything figured out. Did you not know that?
This morning when I was trying to log on to this show with you, I could not unclick the mute button, no matter what I tried. So you couldn't hear me. Nobody else could hear me. So I think that I'm still kind of in the messy middle. I might be in the beginning of a messy middle. I might have a whole bunch of messiness still in front of me.
I feel like we go through our phases of messy middle. And messy middle to me is when my experience, especially I've learned this from being an artist in the creative process too. Inevitably, almost every creative process I've been in, there's that moment where everything feels like it's falling apart. And you're like, why am I doing this? Who thought this was a good idea? This is crap. There's no way we're going to get this show done. There's no way my lines are going to get memorized. There's no way we're going to find funding for this. Or someone just said no to us. Always happens. I have to say, inevitably across the board, almost every single time something like that happens, where that anxiety happens. But then what's so amazing, and the reason why I feel like it's that dopamine rush, is that when you get to the other side of that, when you make the choice to commit, it's magic. It's magic. And there's nothing like it. You get to the other side, and then you can look back and go, wow, we survived that.
You know what I'm thinking about now? Mud pies when we were kids. Did you ever make mud pies?
I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
I'm going to say yes. I didn't like dirt too much.
No,
like I wasn't like the
but
beach
most
girl.
kids,
Okay.
most normal people,
Thanks.
normal
Thank
children,
you. Thank
they
you, Joseph.
loved getting messy and making mud pies. Like it was really a thing. And what I'm noticing and remembering is that in all of that messiness, there became a time through our graduation of life where we stopped enjoying the messiness. And we wanted everything to be easy, wanted everything to look good. We wanted everybody to think that we had all our stuff together. What happened to the messiness of the mud pies? Because we were an absolute joy. So here's my invitation to our listeners, Meridith Grande. Can we involve or invoke in some joy when we're in process? Because we have to go through the process anyway, right? So we get to choose, do we want to enjoy it or do we want to be miserable? We're still going to go through the process, right? So that's the question for today.
Yeah. Well, and if you're miserable and you're checking in with yourself and you're miserable on a daily basis, and I think maybe it's time for some change anyway, right?
Or for some help.
Or for some help, or like you need to get better at delegating, or you need to find that accountability person or that mentor.
Or a coach or
yes,
a virtual assistant,
somebody. And I think it's really difficult for people to ask for help sometimes. And especially, we work with we interview a lot of creatives. We also interview a lot of entrepreneurs and small business owners who've taken leaps of faith and have given themselves permission to leave their jobs. You give yourself permission to lose your job. Awesome. But I feel like I lost my train of thought. Do you see my transparency there?
Yeah.
I did lose my train of thought. I was going to say, you keep talking and then I'll come back to me.
Okay, so what I would like to say is, again, technology and I are such great friends. So the only way I could put anything in the chat was to send you a private chat, but I didn't want to send you a private chat. I wanted to put the link to our podcast in something that our viewers could actually see. So
I'll put it in. It's in there. It's already in there. It's already in there, Joseph. My lovely Kath put it in there for us.
Okay, I don't see it on. The only thing that I see is the amazing Hannah and her pre-sale for her book, which is going to be gorgeous.
It was in there before. You got to trust me. Trust with a capital T, Joseph.
I so trust you. Do you remember what your thought was?
No, I lost it. It's really okay, because if it was that important, it'll come back to me.
But it is worth revisiting the idea of inviting others in to help us. That's really important, because we have these ideas that we have to do things on our own, and that's just BS, my lady. Really, because we couldn't do this podcast on our own, right? Like we have Kath helping us. We have Tarazi, who's our editor, helping us. We have our amazing guests who give us content every week. Because you and I, clearly, we can't think of anything to say.
It would be really, it would be quite boring if it was just the two of us. So here, I want to talk a little bit about how we got into. Let's give some nuggets to the people who are watching right now about podcasting and how we got into it. And I want to do a shout out to the Akimbo program. They have a wonderful pod and Seth Godin's program, Akimbo, and they have lots of wonderful programs if you're not at all familiar. But the podcasting group was great. That was a wonderful resource. We found out a lot of information in a short amount of time. We got ourselves set up, and the one piece that I felt like was pretty effortless between the two of us was we didn't hem and haw too much about what we were going to do for the first episode. We just said, let's make sure that we have mics. Let's make sure. And I already had one because I've been doing voiceover. And we just went. We just did it. We just launched. And we didn't spend 6 weeks hemming and hawing over the first episode.
We could still be hemming and hawing a year and a half later, because we know people who do that, right? Like, it's not perfect yet, so I'll wait. Do
Right.
not wait. You do not need to wait, please.
Well,
And the nugget that I want to share, you finish.
No, you go.
The nugget I want to share is what we just mentioned, and that is bring other people onto your team. Hire an editor. With Fiverr and platforms like that, it's pretty damn affordable, and it takes a lot of stress and a lot of work out of it. And then the podcaster, the potential podcaster, just gets to focus on what they love, which is getting on mic and speaking, right? And
Right.
that's my second nugget, and that is just allow yourself to just be you, right? You don't have to worry about dropping F-bombs or saying the wrong thing. There is no wrong thing to say, right? It's just you being human and sharing yourself with others.
Yeah, and I feel, just to add to that, Joseph, it's about you being you, and you cannot worry so much about you can't worry about what people think, because you're going to attract the people that you're going to attract because of who you are and because of the message that you're putting out there. Because if you try to appeal to everyone, you will appeal to no one.
True.
It'll be a lot more challenging, at least. And the other thing I love about the podcast, and why I encourage people to start something like this, even if it doesn't have to be so formalized as a podcast. Like, you don't have to go through all of those steps, but even things like recording your blog postings and having an audio version of that, or taking and repurposing, like this, for example, LinkedIn Live, that we're also streaming on other platforms, that we can take this and we can turn it into a podcast if we wanted to. Finding yourself a co-host is terrific. And
that's what I was just going to say.
Yes.
I would not be doing this work without a co-host, specifically you as a co-host.
Yeah, thank you.
We have this sense that we have to fill the airways with something. So there's this pressure, like for 20, 30, 40 minutes, we have to keep talking. But with a co-host, it becomes a team effort. And team, as you may know, is together, everyone achieves miracles. And so thank you for being part of my team. It has been the best gift ever. Besides the gift that you're going to give me next week, which is like 72 pizzas delivered to my house.
Because it's your birthday. It's your birthday.
Guess what I'm doing for my birthday?
What? Tell us. I want to know.
I'm releasing a book.
Tell us the name of it and show it to us. Do you have it in front of you?
Oh, I do. I wasn't prepared to show it. It is my very first collection of poetry. It is called Word After Word. It has this stripe on it just because it's a galley copy, which means it's not for resale. But I was realizing yesterday as I was out on my walk that I started writing poetry as a preteen. So I had that same angst that a lot of teenagers and preteens have, and I put pen to paper. And here I am at 57 next week. It's the first time I've actually created a collection. So I had some poetry published in college and after, but this feels like a really big deal to me.
And, it's beautiful.
I'm excited.
I'm excited for you. Is there any of that brooding teenage poetry in there?
Oh, it is filled with it. I'm still stuck there doing that kind of work, which is fine because that's who I am, But you were just speaking to, if you try to please everyone, you can't please anyone. And with this poetry collection and my other books, I really just wrote it for me. I'm like, people like it, that's cool. If people don't like it, I just got a check for the book that I published last month. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was going to happen, right? Like, I was just doing this for me because I wanted to have another outlet for creative expression. So I want to serve the listener today, Meridith, in giving them permission, because our podcast is called Are You Waiting for Permission? I want to give them permission to just create and express themselves regardless, right? And my question, which is not unique to me, but it is, if not now, when? Do you think it'll be easier a year from now? Do you think it'll be easier 10 years from now? It might. I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller yet. But I think it's just as easy today as it will be tomorrow. What do you got to say?
Yeah, I feel that it's the journey, and when we put too much weight on the outcome of something,
Mm.
that's when we set ourselves up for the disappointment. We can be strategic. That's one thing, but this being strategic to me is about the stepping stones. It isn't about um I always say not too tight, not too loose. Like that's how I feel. It's like you can't hold on too tight to that outcome because there's just too many different like
Oh, variables and
turns and variables
algorithms and
and life
people and
happenings, all the stuff that can happen, and it's about being adaptable and flexible and staying true to what your purpose is, and allowing yourself to breathe in this beautiful journey called life. And I know that that can be challenging for some people. I always touch back into the family unit, right? Like there's a lot of people that have been on our podcast that have had the privilege, because whether they're retired or they don't have children, to have these beautiful time and space retreats and the ability to be able to like sit and write and take and go on year-long extravagant journeys to find their voice. That is, and I, yes, and to all of that. And then I'm always, me, I'm always like, but what about the person right now
who
that
only has 15 minutes.
who only has 15
Yep.
minutes and 3 children and a job, and right? Um,
Okay,
so
I'm going to
I
stop
want
you
to,
right there. I don't like to interrupt you, but I'm going to stop you right there. For
what?
those people that are really struggling, that can't figure it out, that are just going through life and, may or may not have a lot of joy in their life, I've got 3 words.
Mhm.
Hire a coach. It freaking transformed my life in such meaningful. Hello, Leslie Jeter. Thank you for being my coach for a year and a half. Like, just hire a coach. Like, we do not have to do this on our own.
We
My phone's
don't.
ringing. Can you hear that?
No, I can't.
Somebody's
And if you,
somebody's going to hire me as their coach. Should I get
well,
that?
yeah, I think you should get it. It might be a coach. Well, I would say hire a coach. And if you're in a place where that doesn't feel financially feasible to you, find a community. You can
Hmm.
always find people that you can sit in community with to hold each other accountable,
Yes. And
right?
when that happens, can I just play devil's advocate for a minute? Be
Hmm.
careful that when you're in community and you're gathering together saying, oh, this is difficult, da, 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 have a purpose so that it doesn't become a bitch session.
Yeah, well, no, we don't want bitch sessions. I'm saying,
Yeah.
yes, I would agree. You need
Like,
to have a
oh, it's
contain.
so hard and nobody, da, 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 da. Like,
No, no
just
one
be
wants a
careful.
bitch session. A
I just want to be
container.
careful of that. A
No, I hear
container.
that. I totally agree. I totally and
Okay.
100% agree. I think intentionality is key, and I think holding a container. I always like to say that what are the rules of engagement? How do we serve each other? How do we lift each other up? How are we supporting and moving individual goals forward? I feel like that's happened a lot over the pandemic, and it's one of the gifts of the pandemic is that people have these self-organizing groups have come together and have
Mm,
made
mm.
magic happen without the outcome. And some of these groups have grown into masterminds, or they're actually now monetizing. It's really it's quite a beautiful thing when you lead with purpose and,
Sure.
yeah, and intention, purpose and intention. So I love this. So I want to say one more thing about the podcast, which has helped me tremendously. And because you're also a member of Confidently Speaking, I want to just touch base on that for a second, because what I have learned doing a podcast is that it has helped me find my own voice, and it's also helped me be more gentle and have more grace with myself when I
Mm,
don't feel
oh,
like I've said the right thing, or I lost my train of thought,
sure.
or right. I have this wonderful habit of putting the wrong word in context. So I'll and and I have very loving friends and a very loving husband. They just kind of listen and they gloss over it. And I sometimes don't even know I've done it, but I know that it's a thing I do. And and so I've been in the past very afraid, even if I was the leader in the leadership role. I remember I was a part of this company, a theater company. I would have been the director of the play. And if the artistic director would come up to me and say, why don't you do the Q&A after the show? I would say, oh, no, you're the artistic director. You do it. Because I was terrified of saying the wrong thing or sounding
Mm,
stupid, even though it was a project that I was passionate about. So I have to say, it's a gift to give yourself when you give yourself permission, if you will, to take that leap of faith and do that thing. It's a tremendous gift to yourself. And so I always encourage people in Confidently Speaking to get out there and speak whenever you can. Whenever you can, on any platform you can. That's why we're doing these LinkedIn Lives this month of July, is so that everyone in the group has an opportunity to be live, to see what it feels like, to deal with the tech stuff, to have a great conversation, to lift each other's voices up, because the more you do it, the easier it gets.
Yes, and there might be one or two people in the world that don't know what Confidently Speaking is.
Oh, do you want to tell them? I want you to tell them.
Oh, okay. So it's a membership. We meet once a week for 1 hour, and Meridith Grundy is our coach. So she's a presentation coach, and it's this incredible community where we gather together on Zoom. So there's people from all over the world, and we learn the skill, the tool, the joy. Can I bring that word back into the conversation?
Yes.
The joy of being in front of people and trusting ourselves and speaking with more confidence and taking all of our fears and our angst and, oh my God, I don't know what to say. And there's one woman who I'm going to call Carol, who started off very, very shy and very, very meek. And here we are a few months later, and she's just blossoming. And it's beautiful to watch, knowing that she and others and myself are finding our voice based on your program. And it's
Thank
down there
you.
in a link. I do see that link, members.confidentlyspeaking.fun.
Yes, yes. It's a really terrific and very supportive group. I actually got a text message from Remy as I was popping into this with you, who said, "Oh, I wish Confidently Speaking was happening today." I was like,
Yeah, but it happens on Wednesdays, and today's Friday, Remy.
I
Thank
know.
you, Remy. Yeah,
I'll just take that as a compliment. I'm going to just take it as a
right.
compliment.
I wish Confidently Speaking were happening every day.
Every day. Well, I would hire more coaches. Not that I wouldn't want to
Okay.
be there every day, but I got to
Yeah, we're
reserve.
delegating. We're
We're
delegating.
delegating.
Are we done?
Are we done?
I think we're
Well,
done.
there's one other thing I want to mention that's in Confidently Speaking, is that I use improv exercises
Oh, yes.
because I have an improv background. And I think that's important information to know, because that's how we met. I was in San Miguel de Allende, central Mexico, where Joseph lives with his beautiful husband, Eli. And he was at this show, a micro theater show, which that show in itself sent me on another creative tangent after San Miguel. But I met Joseph there, and I shared Joseph is also a fellow improviser, performer, extraordinaire. See, I did that.
Yeah, that's great.
I almost did
Extravanaire.
it.
That could become a
Extravanaire.
new
I made
word.
up a word.
It's called a Meridithism.
It's a Meredithism.
Yep.
And you
Improv. We bring
hired me
improv to
to come
Confidently
and
Speaking.
you hired me to come teach an improv workshop, and that's how we got to know each other.
So every week we start with improv exercises, which is super simple, no pressure. There's no way to do it wrong. And that just kind of loosens us up and builds community, which is priceless. So thank you for that. So we get to see each other Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and then Friday for book club. Right.
And we're seeing each other twice today. So does that mean you don't show up next Wednesday? Like, are we?
I have reached my quota. I've had enough Meredithisms for 1 week. And yeah, guess what I'm doing?
What are you doing?
I'm giving myself permission to go rent a second home out in the country, like with all of this land, room for the dogs to run around, lots of quiet, because there's construction noise next door. That's not a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And you too. So I'm moving on Monday.
I am really okay. And I just have to say, this place looks stunning. And I'm very excited for you. It's it's beautiful, 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 beautiful. So excited that you get to have that tranquility. Yeah. What am I doing? I am.
You're doing Confidently Speaking. You just finished Nothing Further. And can I give you a challenge?
Sure.
Okay. I'm going to give you a challenge that in the next 60 days, you schedule or have had happen a live streaming of Nothing Further so that we can watch it and buy tickets.
As soon as the video is done, I will.
Okay, great. So who are we going to give a shout out to the person doing the video? Is that Danny?
My beautiful dear friend Danny Bristol.
Yes.
who-
Hello, Danny Bristol.
He is
Hello.
a wonderful photographer. He's also a videographer. He's here in New York City. He works for
Okay.
Dirty Sugar.
So we're
Yeah.
just waiting for him.
We
Now we'll
are.
get it up.
He's staying at my house next week, so I'll let him know.
Okay.
He's watching my dog. I don't know if everyone on LinkedIn right now needs to know this, or YouTube and Facebook or wherever else we're streaming.
Yeah, everybody needs to know that Danny's watching Millie. Okay, perfect. I think we're done. I think we have run out of things to say. Can I just give
What?
a little hint about something? Just a
Yes,
tiny little
always.
hint
I'm a yes and girl until
for
I'm not.
anybody who
What?
has ever watched a Jerry Lewis telethon. Okay, raise your hand if you have ever watched a Jerry Lewis telethon.
We just
or know
totally
what that is.
aged ourselves.
Do
Do you know
what
who
that
Jerry
is?
Lewis is?
Do you know what a telethon was?
Do you know what a telephone is? Like a princess phone.
Okay, so the reason that I'm asking these ridiculous questions is because you, Meredith
Yes.
Grande, and myself, and some other invited guests are going to be doing a telethon the day after Thanksgiving.
We are on Black Friday. Instead of going shopping, you're going to just watch us all day long and shop on independent stores via the internet.
And shop at Are You Waiting for Permission?
Yes.
So just mark on your calendar. You'll hear later what we're doing and how much money we're raising and all that. But just mark Black Friday for us. Meredith already has the outfit. Look.
It's blue. It's navy. It's hard to see. And I'm wearing green. I'm wearing green. See?
Okay. I'm wearing blue.
Okay, I'm wearing, see, we match. Like if we were walking down the street right now, we would actually match. It's the fact that like, here's one last non sequitur and then we'll leave this conversation because I'm sure everyone is very entertained. They're like, what does this have to do with business? What kind of value add is this right now? And what's your call to action?
Who's your ICA?
What's your call to action? How are you solving my problem right now? So I am painting this back wall. I am sick of looking jaundice. I feel like I look jaundice on video. I don't know, like a grayish blue.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking blue.
Yeah, like a steel blue.
Okay.
Okay. I'm glad we had this conversation.
Are you doing the headboard wall too?
I'm still thinking that through.
People don't know that you and I have a great passion for interior design.
That's my, I have a huge passion. I would say that's my hobby. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Your mom was an interior designer for years.
She was an interior designer. And yesterday I got to be in Alex Hitt's group who does TikToks for business. And he's wonderful. And it's a wonderful group of people.
And there was yes.
HITT. And he was, there was a woman in there who specifically sells Ethan Allen furniture. And I was like, a flashback to my childhood happened right in that moment. And because my whole home was decorated, my room was all Ethan Allen furniture and our whole home was like Ethan Allen or Drexel Heritage. And so, yes.
I feel like I need to apologize to our viewers because I'm moving on Monday, as I said. So that painting does not always live on the floor leaning up against a chair.
I would not have noticed it. Oh, that painting. I didn't even notice it.
And then the hammock that's on the back of the chair. Yeah,
I didn't notice that either.
We have to have hammocks in every room.
It's true. And I'm sure that you'll be forgiven. I forgive you. Okay. Right. You're the best.
I'm leaving.
Are you? Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thanks for being here, everybody.
Thanks. Are You Waiting for Permission? Please find us on Apple and then Confidently Speaking, members.confidentlyspeaking.fun. And please look up Joseph Bennett, artbybennett.com. He's also a brilliant assemblage artist, as well as a poet and a coach and all of the things, which is why I fell in love with him. Okay.
Thank you. Thanks for being my co-host. You're the best.
Yes, you're the best too.